Wow. The gentleman who put this collection together has just told me he has 8,000 pieces. And it's of all sorts. Look at these little dinky ones. Small enough to fit in your backpack. And behind us, we have a mock-up of Vinnitsya train station. Now I don't need to bother buying a drone or even filming it at ground level, do I? Got it all laid out here. And there's a whole lot more here besides model transport vehicles. So if you come here to Vinnitsya and you visit this museum, it's a little bit of something for everyone, I think. Gosh. Could be here all day. It's certainly going to be something I remember about Vinnitsya, and I'm glad I left it as the last thing I do, because it's definitely a highlight. Look at these two characters. That was a family of them. More funny looking bunny rabbit people. If my friend Jan is watching this video, I won't say another word, Jan. Mr. Bunny Rabbit Mountain. So we've got a doll's house built into a suitcase. I wonder how convincing this would be if I did try and pretend it was a drone. Dragons and mannequins. Makes me think of Venice. And who doesn't like teddy bears? When I see these things, I always remember travelling on the Ukraine railways years ago. I don't know if they still do it because I haven't been offered a cup of tea or coffee by the attendant on a train in Ukraine yet. But they used to offer them, not in such grand cup holders as we have in the display. It'd be fantastic if they did. But a very simple version of these cup holders with a glass inside with your beverage of choice, hot tea or coffee, presented in your wagon or at your seat in Platzkart, wherever you happen to be on the train. Those were the days. I don't know if they still do it that way. Oh, crikey, these look like, I was going to say, are they orcs? No. Fantasy figures. Not orcs, not Game of Thrones. Got something up here. Spellscape.biz. Perhaps people are into fantasy figures. Already know that. Oh, there's a name I know. I've heard of it anyway, Warhammer. And the big kid in me, or little kid in me, yep, I'm thinking, yeah, I could get carried away myself and end up with a collection of 8,000 items. I can understand where that man was coming from. So this is a whole lot more than what I was expecting. Really is quite a mix of toy shop and museum as well, mixed together. Oh, Mel Gibson, Mad Max. I wonder what this man's wife thinks of his collection. I have to admit, I don't play with toys like this. Not even as a kid. There's Doctor Who. But I do like looking at them. Sort of decorative pieces. Don't think I'd be able to get really carried away and obsessed, but you never know once you start buying one or two just because you particularly like them. I suppose that's where it all begins for everyone. And I suppose I should apologise right now for anybody who thought, okay, I'll watch one of your boring videos, even though you mentioned museum. I'll give it a whirl. Because if you did start watching the video expecting to see lots of cars and trains and planes, well, we do have some of a science fiction fantasy variety. But it's taking us a little bit of time to get to the conventional stuff. So I hope you'll stick around and keep watching. It would be fantastic to know this man's story, wouldn't it? The man behind the collection and how it all began.
Missouri.
Ah, the USS Missouri.
Missouri, це Ямато, Japan Yamato
Uh-huh.
і Titanic.
Titanic.
Yeah, Titanic. This ship is paper.
Did you make the models yourself?
My friend
Your friend.
handmade paper.
Paper.
Да, бумага.
That's incredible. Just paper. But it must be a special type of paper, I'm sure. And they're the most famous ship in the world, I suppose. Can you imagine doing this out of just paper? Astonishing. What a fabulous old galleon over there. So it's quite a combination of bought items and items his friend made. Now the story becomes even more intriguing, doesn't it? I tell you what, when you find the time, when you've got the inclination, if you like this kind of stuff, you really need to come to Vinnitsya to check out this collection. If you're thinking of just visiting Kiev, Vinnitsya is on the train line between Kiev and Lviv. I don't think you'd regret coming here at all. 50 hryvnia is the cost of entry, so it's only just over £1 British. Tell me you can't afford that. Oh, I don't know what we can see under here. I think I'll have to describe what this is.
України найменший в світі. Це місто Карсує стало побратимом Вінниці. В ньому народився Карл Бенц в цьому місті. Перший автомобіль його, перший
Oh, a tiny alligator.
прес, перший велосипед, велодех. Це теж в цьому місті Карсує. Це на кордоні з
And
Францією.
underneath this one,
Стали побратимом.
3 little ducks and a reed.
Розбитий, бачите,
So tiny.
російський. Його признали, да, це шоломні хлопці передали.
And a rooster. But it's the size of a splinter. Gosh. Yeah. You need to come here for yourself. Otherwise you'll miss a lot of the good stuff.
F-16 ми вже получили, бачите? Кажуть, що немає. Вже є в Вінниці перші.
Gosh. And brush up on your Ukrainian, and then you can read about Mikhailo Masyuk, a man with incredible patience, obviously. And perhaps this is the gentleman who is also responsible for the bigger ships. Or maybe not. Maybe that's the work of someone else. God, it's so nice to have the freedom to just walk around here and see such wonderful things. Without getting somebody telling you, no, you're too close, get away. Don't touch. Of course, I'm not going to touch anything. And this is a model of the train station in the city. The gentleman mentioned the name, but I wasn't familiar with it. This is the city twinned with Vinnitsya, a German city. Do you recognize it? Let me know in the comments if you do, won't you? where do you even begin looking around at something like this? I don't know. And maybe here's a clue if you know anything about football, which I don't really. KSC. So I wonder if it's Kaiserslautern? Maybe? I'm guessing. I say maybe so often in my videos, don't I? Gosh. If you could see my face now, my jaw has dropped. Oh, it's not Kaiserslautern, it's Karlsruhe. Perhaps you can see underneath that contraption. Is it a bicycle? Is it an early motor car? Karlsruhe, twinned with Vinnitsya. Yeah, I think I'm going to have aching jaw muscles. Perhaps more so than I got even from when I smashed my face into the ground. When I fell in Khmelnytsky. But this time, the jaw muscles are going to be aching from my jaw dropping so much. Oh boy. A blitz and bends. I'm not so big on planes, I have to admit. But it certainly beats spending a Sunday afternoon in your hotel room. And spacecraft as well. That's a very nice looking sharp-nosed plane from the old days of the Soviet Union. I wonder what it was called. Some commemorative stamps as well. The Mir Space Station. And I can't see enough information about what that sharp-nosed old Soviet hero plane was called. I wish I could. Ooh, that takes me back to Hostel Gagarin in Kiev over 10 years ago. They had one of these former cosmonauts' helmets. Here we've got 3. Oh no, we've got 2. and the inside of one on its own over there. But yeah, where do your eyes go? Everywhere. That's the answer. My eyes are going everywhere. I'm going to end up looking like Marty Feldman at this rate. And here's the big crowning glory centerpiece, perhaps. The front of Vinnitsya train station. I walked up the equivalent of this road a few days ago. Walking up here toward the train station, and then I came round and ended up in an absolute rabbit's warren of outdoor markets and indoor markets. And here we're up in the Carpathians. Oops. Careful with your fingernails. And that could be the very train which takes me to Turnapil. Yes, that's where I'm going next. Ooh. I hope that's not the long delay outside of Khmelnytsky. I've got a feeling it could be. They change wheels or something in that town, and you just sit in a hot, sweaty carriage for far too long. Last look at the space racer. The gentleman who collected all these pieces, the proprietor, the administrator, who seems to be doing everything here, told me this is hall 1, next door, it's number 2. Gosh, James Bond's cars. Would you believe it? There's even James Bond in there with You Only Live Twice. Sat in his car. Can you even imagine? I can't. James Pond.
Бонд, а тут, бачиш, назад його майбутнє, мисливці за приводами, форсаж.
Ah,
Да,
Ghostbusters.
це все тут.
Ghostbusters and Back to the Future.
Перша, друга, третя частина. Всі частини. Я вас не побачу.
Knight Rider. Terminator 2. Spider-Man. Some of the Marvel characters. And Batman. Oh boy. If my friend Creepy Doll Caddy was here, her interest would have been piqued by now, I think. And these are the Fast and the Furious, aren't they? And who's that up there? Who's he? Don't know who that one is. Scooby-Doo. Scooby-Doo and the Mystery Machine. I forgot that was the name of the vehicle. I was only a kid when I was watching Scooby-Doo. I guess here is the office. And here am I with a big Cheshire Cat's grin on my face. Oh, how's the Gene Scar coming along? Can't shave yet. Not properly. But it's coming along.
Пішли, будемо запускати потяги зараз з тобою. Ти вже тут думав, ну ти перший раз. Я, сьогодні перший чи взагалі? А, ну так що я пам'ятаю, що ти вже був.
I have to say, this is a knockout. And I'm so glad I didn't come here first. You know, if I'd come here on my first day, it would have then been impossible to top. Ooh, little sausage dog. And if you want to keep it country, Mercy Ferguson tractors. And Ukrainian tractors by the look of it as well. And now it's back to warfare. Thoughts of that are never far away, unfortunately. But it's all just a game.
Пластилін, поняв, да це? Це пластилін.
No.
Пластилін.
Plasticine.
Пластилін, да. Це handmade, my friend, 30 years ago, виліпив in the
Plasticine.
German army і USA army.
I can hardly believe it.
Ah.
It's amazing. These are made from plasticine. Yeah. Okay, my jaw's been dropping already, but now I know these videos are not going to do these models credit. They never do. No matter whether you got 4K, 8K, a gazillion K, it won't matter. It's only if you see things with your own eyes. That's when you can appreciate them. So much for YouTube videos, eh? You've got to come here at some point when you feel the calling. Wow. So I can genuinely say, my videos are just giving you a taster. Just a very basic taste of what you'll see with your own eyes. Because I'm checking the back of the, I was going to say camera, I suppose it's the camera. The phone camera as I'm filming around. But what you get through the lens in your eyeball, so much more impressive. I very much like these. Reminds me of New Zealand. Going off on a camping trip, heading off to the Batch in the summertime. Batch is like a little summer holiday home. Yeah. Well, I think probably every country's got a different word for it. But in the summer where the family, if they get the opportunity to, can get away from the city. Enjoy the forest and the lakes, or the beach. Plasticine. Sorry, my brain keeps going back to what that man said. Made of plasticine. And aren't these gorgeous? Here we have some Russian and Ukrainian models, I think.
Там пластиліна, подивіться, ось дитина життя. Наш полковник вилікав 30 років назад. Старий пластилін, скрив лаком для волос прірі.
This gentleman is rightly proud of his collection. It's astonishing, isn't it? Oh, Volga. Now, okay, this is going to be a test. Whether you've watched any old videos of mine or not. Do you remember? I think it was, I was leaving Saaremaa and I was having to walk out of the town. Sorry, I was leaving Kuressaare on the island of Saaremaa and I was walking towards the airport and there was a spectacular green car and it had that Volga word written on it. So it was the name of a very well-known manufacturer, obviously. Back in the day, I don't know if they're still going.
Ну, а ти бачив там пожежних скільки? Там 200 пожежних там. Всі пожежні, які є в світі.
It's nice to see that, I don't know why I say this, I'm not a grandfather or even a father, but it's nice to see little boys, little kids getting excited, seeing things like this, because it does make you wonder whether little kids are interested in such things, things which got old people of my vintage interested in toys and games and playing with things. If it's not on a computer screen these days, I didn't know whether kids would be interested in toys even. Does that sound like a stupid thing to say? Perhaps. Perhaps kids will always love toys. Lots of police vehicles here. Carabinieri, Italian police helicopter over there. What's that, from 1998, does it say? And for the English, anyone from Tyneside, YI, Tyneside Express Transport. Ooh, I'm getting a bit wobbly on my knees here. I better stand up straight. It's funny, this place is open 7 days a week, and yet there's still a reasonable number of folks here on a Sunday late afternoon. Not just me. Ferraris. Where do you even begin? Where do you even begin? I'm trying to see if any of these cars look like anything I had when I was a kid, and I had almost nothing. I'm not saying that for sympathy, not just because I came from a poor family, but just had one or two little cars back in the day. That would have been a sweet set, wouldn't it, to collect? Just tiny thumb-sized cars. Not even thumb-sized, thumbnail-sized cars. But I have to admit, these oldie worldy things are what really draw my eye. I love these old dawn of the motor car models, things which succeeded in manufacture, things which failed, no doubt, when it was all in its infancy, and people were coming up with all kinds of designs. Steam-driven. Oh, I forgot to say, if these things aren't of interest to you, do feel free to flip on to another one of my videos, which is more about either saving money when you're traveling or just traveling to some of the places a lot of people don't bother traveling to around the world.
І обов'язково сходіть з ним в парк, де там є великі машини, пожежні, ви получили там.
But if you're as mesmerized as I am, you'll probably want to stick around to see the rest.
В 11 годин відкривається і до 20-ї працює. До стадіону. Ви дійшли в пів 11-му. Ні, ми з 11-ї. Там пожежна старовинна і
Look at this one.
зі сп'ятий є.
This was actually a car.
Там такі вони настоящі.
An Alfa Ricotti from 1914. Can you believe it? It looks like somebody's mixed a 1950s spacecraft or imaginary spacecraft and put it on top of the bottom part of an old car, doesn't it?
Коли дітки маленькі, то іграшкові. Ти вже ж
And is it a plane? Is it a hovercraft? Is it a car? What on earth was that? It's astonishing the designs that people came up with, isn't it? Even if you're bored, but I don't know, wanting to just give my video channel support and you're trying to stick this video through, you're holding in there and you're continuing to watch. You've got to give me that one, haven't you? You must be astonished by some of the designs, aren't you? So here's an idea as an alternative to a pension plan. Buy what you love, store it up for as long as you possibly can, where you're living, in your garage, in your loft space, under the bed. And when it gets just too much, and you're approaching retirement, open a museum and charge a little bit for entry. Build it and they will come. Fabulous. So many here not even taken out of their boxes. Got no idea about the market for these things. There's some prices here. €20 back in the day. But now, priceless.
Магазин.
Magazine.
Магазин можна купляти.
Ah, you sell them as well. Aha. Oh, I got it.
Сміливіші, дівчатки, сміливіші.
That's why they're in the boxes. So if you're interested in buying something, this cabinet acts as a shop. I shouldn't look, should I? Because might be tempted. I'm tempted in the form of, well, who do I know who I could pass one of these on to as a gift? But I've got to fight that urge. Otherwise, you know what's going to happen. I'll end up with a backpack full of gifts again for people. And I'll be hauling them around the world with me, buying extra luggage, paying for extra check-in luggage, and thinking, why did I buy all these things in the first place? 1961 Lincoln. In my ignorance, I wonder if that's what JFK was shot in. With the roof off. Henry Ford, I recognize his face. Saw a documentary on Henry Ford some months ago. He didn't come out particularly well in it, I have to say.
Мені треба обов'язково, щоб ти подивився настоящі пожежні машини. Вони там є, так. Тут так близенько йти тобі, бо ти ніколи їх не побачиш. І карета, так?
Look at that beauty.
Там карета і
1961 De Soto Adventurer.
Понял, так?
Mind you, the Buick Roadmaster's nothing to be sneezed at.
Там є і Ягуар, самий крутий англійської королеви, він стоїть внутрі.
And the 1947 MG Midget.
Дуже-дуже тобі папить вам не сподобається. Да. Ягуар дуже крутий, крутий.
I do like Buicks. Chevrolet Impala. Looks very much like a Buick to me. Oh, there you go. That's what you want to be touring around Australia in, perhaps. Back in the 60s. You know, before all those backpackers showed up. When you could have Banzai Beach to yourself. All the bonsai trees on Banzai Beach. Ah, memories. Oh, memories. Ooh, that's a super looking little Volkswagen. Doors are open. I might want to take some of the seats out the back to get the bed in. Yeah, potential. Sam's General Store from 1931. Aren't these gorgeous? And if you feel like trying your hand at putting together some of these types of models, I've seen these sorts of things in museums around the world. They seem to have become very popular About, what, 5 years ago? Still popular here, perhaps. Or perhaps the popularity is about to take off once people come to this wonderful museum. And also, if you can buy them in flat pack, post them as a gift, maybe. Lovely little key rings. Some long haul truckers. Oh, I didn't know that Harley Davidson had, I suppose the livery on this long truck is because they're delivering loads of Harley Davidson motorbikes inside. I was thinking for a minute, I didn't know that Harley Davidson were long haul truckers, but of course they're not. And Tony the Tiger doesn't drive this one for Kellogg's cornflakes. The Silver Ghost. Oh, that handcrafted pewter. They look as though they need painting. And I shouldn't say that, should I? If you like your pewter, you've come to the right place. I'm feeling sorry for the people who didn't come in here. They don't know what they've missed out on. These dimensions, you could almost make a mobile phone case out of some of these, couldn't you? Just thinking out loud. I often say I make these videos for myself more than for anyone else. And that's probably why the channel is pretty much a failure, let's be honest. But at least I've got these wonderful videos I can look back on myself. But maybe if I can enjoy them, other people can too. Just a few. Oh, nice poster. Vinnitsya Transport Company. And I'm surprised I'm not seeing it all in pale blue and white. Of course, it goes back a lot further than the 1960s, doesn't it? This looks as though it goes back to 1913. Nearly forgot the fire trucks. For those who might be out there screaming, what about the fire trucks? Yes, there's a lot of reflection on the glass, I'm sorry. Oh, I like that white one. The white and the gold. Always looks sexy when the doors come up like that, doesn't it? DeLorean-esque. Mint and sprungly. That's very nice. The Citra 6. Citra S6.
Слава Богу, значить, хорошо виглядає. Це не ігрушка, це колекційні моделі, дуже дорогі.
Ну, вони для вас колекційні, але для мене колись була іграшка.
In case you haven't noticed, I've got absolutely no idea how best to film these things. So do remember, this is just an overview. And you can come here yourself, get up close, you'll see so much more. Cute, very cute. Motorbikes with sidecars. I like them. Modern racing cars, not so much my thing. This is so much bigger than 2 rooms. So where is this then? A mobile kitchen, is that what it's saying? First World War mobile kitchen? Maybe. So where's this monument? Haven't seen that one.
Ні, і музей. Тут дуже багато різних машин. Бачиш?
I think these are my favourite size of model motor cars. Don't know what you think.
Так я не можу купити, бо це музей.
Зліпи сама.
Not sure about that pink Thunderbird. Maybe it would have worked in Greece. Maybe they had one. I'll have to watch Greece again now.
Я якраз вчора посилку отримав. Ці по 30 гривень. Ці дорогі трошки, але по 100 гривень це дуже хороша ціна. Ці всі гривень, які літочки.
Я думаю, є, де подивитися.
Це по 100 гривень.
And the Kiss touring van. Touring apartment? Maybe it was just all their speakers and guitars, all that gear. Probably not the thing they actually would sleep in on the road, but who knows in the early days.
Бачиш, є Мерседес.
When money was tight
А оце?
and they had to borrow their mum's makeup. Sorry, Jean. Sorry, Pete. Sorry, Paul. And sorry to the one whose name I've forgotten. Ooh, 101 Dalmatians? Maybe yes, maybe no.
Велика пожежна, бачиш? Висока крута машина, такої не бачиш.
So, museums are boring, are they? What did you do with your Sunday afternoon?
Вау! І в тебе класні наклейки, бачиш? Кури знизу? Оці?
Apologies for the audio, but as you know, this phone camera, well, the phone picks up every single little bit of noise going on in the background. And that means not only does it pick up everything going on in the background, it also magnifies. It magnifies the noise. So it's even louder on the video than it is in real life, which makes me dread how loud the background noise must be. And there's very little I can do in the editing, I'm afraid. Oh dear. Feel free to turn the volume down or even mute the video and just enjoy the feast for your eyes. And I should point out, I have noticed a car I think I did have when I was younger. I think maybe if you see the Union Jack car there, that one. I think that one is very much like a car I had. One of the very few, as I mentioned.
Всі знають кури, все знають про
Oh, yes. Now then. That's one of my favourites. Got to see this from all angles. Love that one.
Бачите, дівчата, продали цим кацапам лаз та й прибили і нема. Всі автобусні заводи, бачите?
Oh, hello. That's the kind of thing they used to find on American pickers. And they try and buy it for $1 and sell it after it's been tarted up for $1,000. That in itself must be worth quite a pretty penny.
Це вже сучасно. Тисячні. Ще є старі такі бувають. Це рідкість.
Regional boxes, folks.
Віздіход. І джип. Наші їздять, ті їздять.
And from sexy cars to sexy motorbikes. And even glasses. More the modern motor. No, not these are more interesting, aren't they?
Заїжджі чеські і їздимо, добиваємо.
The oldies.
А зараз Швейцарія там цілий
The
жанр.
golden oldies.
Подарили тренд 2000 і оці ще
Even one for a lady there.
віражі. Все, дівчата, йдіть їсти.
Дякуємо. Дякуємо.
Вечеря не встигнути.
I think in another life, that Harley Davidson would be mine. I'm just seeing this video. We're well over an hour. So what am I going to do? Some very severe editing, I think. Or maybe it's one of those occasions when I need to make two versions. One, just the whole thing for maniacs like me, and another sort of edited down, watered down version to give a very basic flavour of what there is to be seen here. I'm getting a bit hungry. I think I can smell somebody having food. Like the yellow one in particular. Ooh, Poland. Viva la Polska. Viva la France. You just imagine Catherine Hepburn and Cary Grant in that, can't you? A Talbot Largo Figoni Falaschi, 1938. Oh, here's a nice collection. Everywhere you turn is a nice collection. But a nice display within a display. Renault Estafette Frisinet. Oh, there's the dog humour truck again. He's got two of those. I wonder if he needs two. No, I've got to stay in my hand. Control my impulses. And I'm sure a lot of people will say, well, it's just a toy shop. And to those of you who are thinking that way, for some of us, the word just doesn't belong in that sentence. Oh, I like this one very much. I think it's going to be a Dodge Polara two-door hardtop coupe. No, it's not. It's going to be a Dodge Custom Royal Lancer two-door hardtop. If only I was around back in the 50s. I guess I was born too late, as the song goes. Some of you will know the song. Do, 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 do. Well, better be careful. Could be infringing YouTube copyright thingies, restrictions. Look at that. Cadillac, Eldorado. Oh, my eyesight. Something function car.
Доброго дня. Сюди заходьте, я покажу, скажу, що тут вчили.
Aren't they lovely? I mean, aren't they just lovely? Just to look at. Not to play with, but just to look at. And what's this? Is this one of those things that can also go on the water? You see them in some cities, don't you? And because the proprietor loves his transport vehicles, his models, presumably it never gets dull. This is your day at work. Being able to see and introduce to others your beautiful collection. Absolutely fabulous. And what do you do after nearly an hour and a half? If you've got the time, go round again, even more slowly. Maybe not. Not this time. There's also the possibility of the next time. Thanks for joining me. I'm feeling much better than before I came in this museum. So, yeah, that's been like a tonic for me, walking around this museum. And did I mention? Okay, it's not free, but only 50 hryvnia. An hour and a half of absolute joy for $1.50. And why not buy a keepsake while you're here? Something to remember the museum by. Fabulous. This has put me in a much better mood than I was in before. Been trying to sort out some accommodation nonsense with a hostel. One of these hostels which says, oh, before you arrive you need to contact the hostel to get some special instructions you'll need before you check in. And you think, what could they be? Why don't you just make it obvious? Why don't you just tell me now? I've made the booking. Why aren't you up front about this? Oh, in order to access our hostel, you need to go down a side street, up an escalator, walk across a rooftop, scale down the side of a mountain, grab hold of a tree branch, swing across a river, and then use this special code, which will only be valid for 24 hours, to get into the building. From there, yeah, you get the picture. All that kind of crap. So anyway, my last video from Vinnitsya, and it couldn't have gone better. My word. I genuinely feel inside so much better than I did. What can I say? Come along and enjoy the Museum of Transportation Models. You won't regret it. And looks as though I'm not the first English person to come here, or the first English sounding person to come here. I guess their car broke down and they decided to leave it. Why not? If you liked the video, don't forget to like. If you feel like subscribing because you've lost your mind, you're welcome to subscribe. And if I completely wasted the last hour and a half of your life, or however long this video turns out to be, then I make no apology. I've converted you, haven't I? Admit it, I've converted you. Right. Ciao ciao to Vinnitsya. Bonjour to Turnapil. See you next time.